Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. This is the Bitcoin Otter here at KCYP 97.7 FM, The City, here in McAllen, Texas. As I said in an intro, you may or may not have seen it. I'm going to focus a little bit, and don't mind me. I'm doodling here with the phone so that I can get all the comments. Okay. Now, what I got today is something I came up with, not too original because, well, I'm me. But what I'm coming up with is a good news show. So normally, we're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff here in the world, right? Which, is going to keep on keeping on. We're not going to be able to change that stuff. But that said, what I would like to do is every week I want to have, or every month, I'm sorry, I want to have in the first day of the month. So I'm on the comments, see if I can grab these things here. So I'm just going to have to fiddle with this. But every first show of the month, what I want to do, what I have in mind, is to give good news out, okay? Because with the world the way it is, I mean, we have a lot of bad news to think about. So what I would like to do is I want to showcase some of the good news, okay? Now, that good news happens. It certainly does. But it's good news, so it doesn't always affect us in a way that we're going to have to prepare for it. So what I'm thinking is that let us prepare for the bad news. But let us also know that, hey, there's good news out there. So what I've done is I've compiled some good news. First of all, we got to go to the very good news, which is the Bible. So we got a weekly verse coming up. But what I want to show you now is what we always show you. This is what we do. This is why we do it. Gold is 1,987 times better than the US dollar today. Silver is $24.12, $24.12 for an ounce of silver. And Bitcoin, $26,872 for one Bitcoin. To the mortgage rates now, for those of you that are going to buy a house or are thinking of it, again, I'm going to go into some other things, but the Economic Ninja, he also has another show called The Real Estate Ninja, is right on this stuff, guys. If you haven't checked them out and you're thinking about buying a home, please do so. I think it will behoove you to do so. So he has the fall area, as in autumn, to being a much better opportunity, window of opportunity than we have right now, for various different reasons. We've got the devaluation of the dollar and devaluation of real estate and everything that's coming up, right? But suffice it to say that it's probably going to be better to try and get a home in autumn of this year than it is now. But be your own judge. Take advantage of whatever opportunities you may have. So the average 30-year fixed rate right now is 7.12. So it broke the 7% mark, which is ugly, but this is just the way the world is. Again, we got good news coming too. Hang on. The 15-year fixed rate, 6.52%. A little better, but it's still much higher than what we have been used to, unfortunately. So, now, to the good news. And I've got a little commentary here, but this is from 1 Thessalonians 1:3. We continually remember before our God and Father your work produced by faith, your labor prompted by love, and your endurance inspired by hope in our Lord Jesus Christ. So the reason I put this on here today is it's all about, again, faith, hope, and love. But what this verse does, what Paul is saying in this, because he wrote Thessalonians, right? He is telling them that he's impressed by their endurance because they have hope in Jesus. We, ladies and gents, are showing our endurance by not cracking up, by not just going bonkers, Because these are crazy times. We're on the crazy train. For those of you, children of the 80s, Ozzy Osbourne sang a tune called The Crazy Train. Big hit. Anyway, we're on the crazy train, ladies and gents. We are on the crazy train. It is literally insane. We live in clown world. It's not a joke. Yet, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. So, when we're talking about things like endurance, it means something. Endurance means something. It means we keep on keeping on. We have hope, primarily and first and foremost, in Jesus Christ. At least I do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying why I have a store of hope. Here. He's why. Jesus is why. Then, I also have hope in portions of humanity. Portions that are still good. We're not all bad. We're not all bad. So there are people out there that are fighting the good fight. You and me, we're fighting the good fight. We may not have a huge circle of influence, but the fact of the matter is we're not giving up either. We're not going quietly into that good night. We refuse to. We're not violent. We're not burning things down like, the summer of, I think it was 2020, the summer of love, which may be coming up here in 2023. We're not doing that. We're not hurting people. We're not killing people. The vast majority of us want to conserve our way of life. The good parts of America. Yeah, sure, there's some ugly parts. But let's improve them. Let's, fix them. Let's focus on the good. Let's focus on the things that we can improve. And there are many. There are many. And you know as much as I do. But sometimes we just focus on the ugly. We focus on the bad stuff, the blotches, the weaknesses, the things that we haven't done right. And there are many of them. But when we look at our founding documents, the people who created the republic that we live under, they had a remedy for these things. Problem is, not a lot of us want to remedy things anymore. We don't want to, get rid of the nastiness because, well, there's profit in some of it. It's horrible, I know, it's horrible. But the fact of the matter is, when people are making money, they're less inclined to fix things. But that's not what you and I are about. We're about fixing things. For our families, for our communities, for our country. That's what we're about. We're not about burning it down. We're not about cheating anyone out of anything. We're about making sure that our children and our children's children have a hope here in America. Because if they don't, I'm afraid they don't have it other than, again, in God Almighty. Because this is the last stop for freedom here in the world. It's all, the cheese is falling off the cracker, ladies and gentlemen. It's not nice. It's not pretty. But we're going to get it back. I know we will. We will endure. That's what this verse is about. Endurance, among other things. So, all that to say that let's keep on keeping on. Let's not give up. Let's do what it is that we know how to do because, well, it's part of us. It's part of what we do. It's part of how we do things. It doesn't always have to be. And I'm trying to get the comments. So I know I seem distracted, but the fact of the matter is I'm trying to make it better for us because, well, I know some of you have things to say and I want to hear them. So if I can get this apparatus to show me what your comments are, then all the better. So I'm going to try and get this going. And we're in. There we go. Okay, finally. Let me lower this down so I can see. So, like I said in the beginning of the show, this is the first show of June, right? June 1, today, 2023. Wow. Some of us are getting old. Anyway, June 1, 2023. So I'm going to focus on some good things. This news source is called Today. I mean, it's a regular MSM, so it's probably going to be, compromised in some way or form. But, again, good news. Second grader who vanished while camping in Michigan is found safe. Wow. See, we hear horror stories about kids being lost, kids being abused, kids being stolen. But here's one in Michigan. His name is Nante Naimi. Or Naimi. Nante Naimi. 8 years old. He had braved the elements, they say, the author, and was in good health after a volunteer search team found him at 1:30 p.m. local time on Monday. A little late, but hey, it's good news, right? Good news, whatever it gets to us. So, this is what Michigan State Police said, because it happened in Michigan. Makes sense, right? So there's good news out there, everybody. I got another one. This one's called Sunny Skies, S-K-Y-Z. Sunny Skies. 74-year-old hero rescues woman from hotel fire. Hey, that's a good thing, right? Greg Spike said he was on his morning jog when he noticed smoke ahead of his running trail along the Willamette River in Eugene, Oregon. The grandfather of 16, filmed the blaze on his phone as he jogged when he suddenly heard a woman cry for help. Now, this is good news, guys. On the rest of this story, it didn't say he went home and made himself a cappuccino. No, he didn't. What did he do? Well, first it tells us who it was. Illinois native Stacy Berkeley, who was staying at the hotel visiting family. So he sprung to action. 74 years old, 16 grandkids. He's not happy just hearing someone cry. He's going to help. When I opened the door, the hallway was filled with smoke, said the woman. She walked to the balcony and she saw flames racing from the adjacent room, and she began to panic. We'll talk about panic later. That's when she saw Spike on the walking path. Spike ran toward the building. Many people run away. It's going to come down. I might get burned. Not Spike. Spike ran toward the building and encouraged Barkley to jump. And this is Spike talking. I said, come on, hit me. Hit me. 74 years old. Spike said, I was trying to tell her I would break her fall. He just said, jump, so I did, said Barkley. And he was there to save me. That's a good story. I like those kinds of stories. They're good stories. There are good people out there like Spike. They're still out there. Spike's out there ready to save somebody else. But the fact is there are good things happening. And I don't want us to think that, we're going to listen to Otter again and it's just going to be gloom and doom. No. Because that's not what we're about. We're about preparation, right? We're about grabbing some canned goods while you're at the store and making sure that your kids ain't going to go hungry if the supply chain breaks. We're about, saving a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. We're about telling other people that, hey, there's a way we can plant a garden. There's, ways we can, barter for food or whatever if it comes to, nothing's there at HEB or whatever. Because that's what we're about, okay? We're not about, I'm scared, I'm panicking. We're not going to panic because we're not going to be scared because we're going to be prepared. That's the difference. So, this comes from the Gateway Pundit. Now, here's another feature of this week's show. So, I was determined to, and I did give some good news. In case you're just joining our broadcast now, I was giving some good news, as opposed to sometimes what happens is it's bad news. But the regular news, meaning sometimes bad news, is coming up. I want everyone to be aware of these things so you can be prepared and not scared. However, as an added feature this week, I'm going to put a twist to it and find something good in the quote bad news. All right? So this is out of the Gateway Pundit. Shocking New York Times review of The Little Mermaid complains the children's film had insufficient kink. The New York Times is complaining that the Little Mermaid remake didn't have enough kink. You know what kind of kink I mean. The kind that, writers for the New York Times are into. That kind. Yeah. The story goes on. The new live action, whatever that means. I guess it's not a cartoon. The Little Mermaid is everything. This is this vomit. Okay? That comes out of the New York Slimes. This is the guy, the person who wrote this. This is this author, and I use that very loosely. The new live-action Little Mermaid is everything nobody should want in a movie, says this sanctimonious little you-know-what. Go ahead, think it. Dutiful and defensive, yet desperate for approval. It reeks of obligation and noble intentions. Joy, fun, mystery, risk, flavor, kink. They're missing. The review begins. Gee, sorry, Schmuckatelli. He's in New York. A lot of people are named Schmuckatelli in New York. Take my word for it. I used to live there. So, here is the good news out of that. Here's that twist that I was telling you about. So we got a guy. He's writing for the New York Times. Not a nice person, obviously. This quick judgment, right? But if you're wanting kink in a child's movie, then you're not a nice person. You're not a good person. You're somebody that I would keep my kids well away from. And would, that this guy would probably receive recompense if he tried to. Anyway, this is the good news of this. Someone at the New York Slimes is offended. He's offended that there's not enough kink in a child's movie, a children's movie. So if he's offended, we can all applaud that, right? I think so. Moving on. This is also from the Gateway Pundit. Breaking. Senate votes to overturn Biden's student loan forgiveness program. Yes, ladies and gents, those of you that have had your student loans paid for, I think some were paid for, good for you. Good for you. You got something out of this burning building. I won't call your deeds, certainly won't call them as noble as old Spike over here. 74 years old, 16 grandkids, catching women jumping from balconies. I won't put it on that level. But as the carnage continues, you got yours. You got something out of it, right? So as the burning edifice of our economy falls down about us, you got something out of it. Many would say, you know what? Hey, we paid taxes, and I don't know, they signed on the line. They should pay it back. Well, I'm not quite all the way in on it being okay, but also, where are we going to be anyway? Right? Where are we going to be in a few months? Where are we going to be in a year with this economy anyway? So I'm still on the fence with this. You guys got any comments or whatever? I'm looking at it. I don't have anything yet. Maybe I'll go back out and come back in. But if you got any comments, then just let me know, because I'll tell you what, this is not an easy subject. I mean, people who are supposed to pay something back are not going to pay it back if it passes. Now, part of the thing that I'm twisting here is that I don't think it will. In the story, it says Biden vowed to veto the measure. However, the student loan forgiveness program is currently at the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court is valid, and I know there's questions about that, there can be no way that by rule of law, someone else would forcibly pay the debt of another person who willingly entered into an obligation like a loan. But, questions abound at the Supreme Court level, that's for sure. Now, the good news twist is that this is going to be overturned one way or the other, okay? Whether this Senate vote succeeds, Biden says he's going to veto it, of course. But anybody who knows how to think clearly and actually applies those thoughts is going to realize that he lied about it anyway. It was never anything that he really thought they would succeed with, and he didn't care. They didn't care. They just wanted votes. They just wanted people to vote so that they get money. That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a democracy. The United States is not a democracy unless you listen to criminals. When the criminals talk about, oh, this is a danger to our democracy, what they really mean is their Ponzi scheme, their scam, their, hey, we're going to send billions to Ukraine and we're going to get more back in our bank accounts from, the American taxpayer. That they don't know anything about this because we control the news. So that's the democracy that may exist in the minds of criminals. But we here, as United States citizens, live under a republic. Okay, we are a constitutional republic, and thank the good Lord for that. But yes, in a democracy, you can just keep voting for whoever gives you money. And even if it's somebody else's money, you can keep voting for them. That's called democracy. Now, here's an interesting one right here, okay? This is also from the Gateway Pundit, okay? And think what you will about the Gateway Pundit. They are, at times, they involve themselves in hyperbole. They involve themselves in all kinds of things that are a little beyond the pale, if you will. But at the root of it, it's a good good read. They'll put things in front of you that you won't see in other places. And you be the judge. You're the arbiter of truth in your own mind, right? Karine Jean-Pierre. This is the spokeswoman hired by the Biden administration solely on the basis of gender, sexual preference, and melanin content. Great candidate. She cried out, Jesus. And again, you know me, I don't like to use things. I'm just reading this, okay? And he is the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus the King. And she cried out the name when reporter asked John Kirby about Joe Biden's corruption allegations. But White House transcript censored Jesus remark. Well, we know they don't really like Jesus anyway, So this was, I'm going to read from the tweet. If you haven't seen the video and listen to the audio, it's a gem, ladies and gents. This guy encapsulates the corruption aspect just beautifully, and you see these slack-jawed, glassy-eyed reporters in front of him because he's way in the back of the room because obviously he's somebody that is not handpicked. So he basically lays it out there. He puts the cookies on the lower shelf. Everyone can understand that the majority of people believe the current resident is a criminal and his whole crime family, like, kind of like the Bushes. I'll go there because I'm not a Republican. I don't fight. Oh, yeah, Bush was a Republican. He would never cheat you. Well, he may or may not have cheated you, but he'd kill you pretty quick. I guess that's cheating you out of life. Anyway, so this guy says, John Kirby's his name. A Harvard/Harris poll found that 53% of the public believe Joe Biden was involved with his son in an illegal influence peddling scheme. And his question then was to this guy named, he's to John Kirby. So this guy's Stephen Nelson. Please excuse me. He was talking to John Kirby. So this Stephen Nelson guy, he's at Stephen Nelson 10 on Twitter if you're interested. The video's great. You got to see this. Joe Biden was involved with his son in an illegal influence peddling scheme, which everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows this, right? What do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt? And that's when you hear the Jean-Pierre say the word of our Lord and Savior under her breath, but very much out loud. And then this John Kirby guy, I think after that, he would have wished he borrowed an adult diaper from the resident, because you could see it on his face. He was perplexed. That stammering and stuttering. He said something about the president has spoken about this and whatever. It's just, it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. I'm looking on the phone here. I'm going to try it one more time because, well, I don't see anybody in. And I'm not saying that you're not here. I'm just saying I don't see anybody. So I'm going to get back in there, and we'll see if I can find out who's on the video, what's going on, and hopefully I can see any comments of yours and things that you may or may not want to talk about. Well, hopefully the things you want to talk about, right? So here we go. I'm going to go back into the comments. And okay, I don't see anything yet. Live chat, overview. Okay, nothing yet. Nothing yet. But what I would like to say is that there's good news in everything. All right? And we're gonna tell you what good news can come out of Jean-Pierre. Here it is, basically. Even those, and this is me, I made this, and this came to me in the pre-show. Even those who aid and abet criminals know the name of God. That's a good thing, right? I mean, she knows his name, at the very least. She was just amazed that someone spoke the truth in one of her press conferences. That's hilarious. Anyway, this is another good one here. It comes off as perhaps negative, but I find it very interesting. Our favorite gnome, Zelensky, okay? That's Volodymyr Zelensky of our, favorite corrupted nation coup by the usual suspects guy. Zelensky miffed. He's miffed over NATO inaction. Demands membership and security guarantees now, says Zelensky, the gnome. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is letting his frustration and impatience over the question of entering the NATO military alliance be known. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the good news twist here? That the tiny dancer is upset. That tiny actor/dancer is upset. And that's good news to you and me, because if he's upset, then he's not getting money from those corrupt politicians that we were just speaking about. Your money, my money. He's not getting it. He's not getting too much because the military is taken care of, our military. If the bad guys had the military, put this to your mind. Put this to your thoughts, please. If the bad guys had the military, don't you think we would have boots on the ground in Ukraine? Think about it. Think about it. Email me, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. You want a rabbit hole? I got rabbit holes for you. So, this is from the Daily Hodl. Remember, hodl in crypto terms, hold on for dear life. So the Daily Hodl, okay, and this sounds bad, okay, Otter, I thought you were going to have good news. Check it out. 30 million, no, million is a little too low, Otter. $30 billion exits the U.S. banking system in 1 week as deposit flight grows. According to stats compiled by the Federal Reserve Economic Data System, FRED. Oh, they always make the Fed sound so friendly. FRED. Anyway, depositors yanked $30 billion out of American bank accounts from May 10th through May 17th. 1 week, ladies and gentlemen. $30 billion in 1 week. According to a Federal Reserve report, more than 700 American banks are considered to be facing significant safety and soundness risk due to unrealized losses that exceed 50% of their capital. I want to rewrite this. Due to the exceeding corruption of the Federal Reserve. Doesn't it sound better? I mean, it's the truth, right? Isn't it the truth? This is the reason why people are taking their money out of banks. because it's corrupt. The whole system's corrupt. They're going to do something with that money. What are they going to do, Otter? Well, real estate, gold, silver, Bitcoin, anyone? But here's the good news. And you might not think this is good news, but I do. Be your own judge. The system is crashing apace with velocity. Okay? When you're hurt, when you're sore, you put a Band-Aid on there, whatever. Now, when you take that Band-Aid off, you rip it off, right? You got to rip it off. Because if you don't, man, it hurts for a while and it's just unnecessary pain. So you just rip it off, get it over with. That's what's going on, ladies and gents. That's what's going on. That's why the debt ceiling thing is a non-starter. It doesn't matter. Like Bill Murray said in Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. Zero Hedge. More than 50,000 U.S. stores will close by 2027, according to UBS. Over 2,000 stores across all retail sectors have closed in the past 12 months, according to a recent report from UBS retail analyst Michael Lasser. So they're predicting 50,000 more U.S. stores will close by 2027. So how can you put a good shiny face on this one? I don't know. And it gets worse because Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Costco, they're not going to go out of business. Not the big ones. It's going to be the middle to small businesses, like was orchestrated during the pandemic, that these regular folk like you and me are going to, again, bear the burden for the shysters at the... you like the way I inflected that, Joe? Shysters. Those shysters at the top 0.1%. Okay? Because they've gotten richer throughout this whole time. The whole Ponzi scheme feeds them. That's why nothing's going on with it. They own everything. But something's going to happen. Just watch. Now, the good news in all that, the good news, perhaps, agree or not, people won't be buying so much. People are not going to be buying so much. We can only hope, right? We can only hope that they won't be buying that much. Or if they do buy stuff, it'll be necessary stuff. You know? None of this craziness thing. $500, $800 for a video game system or something like that. I mean, hey, I'm guilty of some of those things too, but I don't think we're going to have time for any of that when we're scrambling around trying to find food or trying to help our neighbors. Because that's who we are, and that's what we're going to do. Before I get on to this last one, almost middle of an hour. I don't know how long we're going to go today, but I want to go over some of the things we talked about. One, we had some good news, right? We always got to remember to have good news. And I've already told you about my intention. Every first of the month show is going to be a good news show, or at least showcase some good news. So we had the little boy that was found. Awesome. He was 8 years old, was lost for like 2 days. Wandered off looking for wood. Found a couple miles away from the campsite. Thank God he was found. And then a 74-year-old man named Spike. God bless Spike. He saved a woman who was in a burning building. He said, hit me, he said. So the woman jumped out. I assume she hit him. He caught her, whatever. Broke her fall. So we did have some good news. And then we got some crazy news, you know, the White House stuff, and, you know, basically they should have a big tent over the White House. Just make it a big tent and then just watch the clowns come in and out, you know. I think that'd be more apropos. But it's a focus on what is good, what is worthy of being persistent about. And we also spoke about that in our verse of the day. Endurance. We have to have endurance, faith, hope, and love. And the endurance portion is right there in the hope category, because we're hoping that things are going to get better on one hand, but even then, our main hope is in heaven and where we're going to go after this. But I'll tell you what, it's very rewarding to help people in this world. As, Jesus said, better to give than receive. And I've tested it. He's right, like he is with everything. Not just some things, but everything. And he's willing to let you test it. And I did. And he's right. It feels so good to help people, to provide for someone that is in need, as opposed to receiving something, a gift or whatever. But we're going to keep on keeping on. That's what this is all about. That's why I'm doing this. We're over a year now doing this. And I thank God. I thank Joe. And I thank all of you that watch. And I hope you get something out of this, because that's what it's intended for, is to give. So all that to say, thank you for being here. I basically encapsulated what we did previously. And we got another one here. Republicans, those dirty one wing of the same bird as Democrats. Republicans say Department of Justice has gone totally rogue after lawsuit against 2024 Senate contender. Republicans are blasting the Department of Justice for its planned lawsuit against the coal empire of West Virginia Governor Jim Justice II, who is mounting a Senate bid against embattled incumbent Senator Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat. So as, accordingly, the DOJ is now motivated to prosecute this Mr. Justice. These charges come just weeks after Justice announced a campaign against the top GOP target, which is Manchin, during the 2024 election season. So they basically, the weaponized DOJ against, I don't know this guy. I'm not going to vouch for this Justice guy, but it's obvious that they're trying to protect Manchin. I guess this court thing was going on since before the resident came into office. So, coincidence that just weeks after he announced his candidacy for Senate, that they were going to move on this, the Department of Justice, the O'Biden Department of Justice. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. But here's the good news. This shows that they're panicked. When they have to go to individual Senate races to defend their boy, their people, their whatever you want to call that seat, Manchin's seat, whatever you want to call that, if they're so panicked that they have to weaponize the DOJ to come after a candidate, like they do with Donald Trump every single chance they get, what does that mean? What does that say? It says they're panicked. They are panicked. These people are panicked. And this is good news, because panicked people make mistakes. They're going to make a mistake so big, and they already have, but this mistake, and I don't know which one it is. I can't predict. I don't know which, and I don't know when. But they're going to make a mistake or mistakes on such a great level that even TV watchers are going to notice. They will not be able to walk down the street, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming. I don't know when. But I am enduring until that day. Okay? I'm enduring until that day. So, I had planned, but I didn't write it out, so I'm not going to do it any justice by going by memory. But next week, I'll have prepared for us a great treatise by Thomas Paine. Okay, and he talks about summer soldiers, things like that. So if you are anywise familiar with that, I'm sure you'll enjoy that next week. I guess here's some good news. Target plunges for the 10th day in a row as boycott leads to traffic weakness. JP Morgan downgrades them. And this is Gateway Pundit. Adds to groom and doom. Groom, I don't know if you remember, but Target was selling satanic, this is not a judgment call. This is literal. I mean, the goat's head was there and the pentagram, because they're, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to hire a trans Satanist for their children's line. Isn't that appropriate? Yeah, their children's line. Just like that New York Times author wanted more kink in a child's movie, they wanted more kink in your infant's swimwear, sleepwear. They had a little boy onesie for your toddler, and well, he could tuck that little nasty thing in there that God gave him. He could tuck it away. He could pretend to be a girl, just like you're going to tell him. No, you won't. Some moms and dads will, but you won't. Not if you're watching this show, that's for sure. You're not here for that kind of mess. 10 days in a row, they're going down. Amen. Amen. You come at us with that stuff, go away. Go away, Tarjay. Go away. So, the good news twist for that, people are waking up. People are motivated. People don't want to sit around and watch their country burn, their businesses burn. Let's be more like Spike. Catch those normies that are coming out of the burning building. They're going to need us, ladies and gents. I'm serious when I say this. Part of what I do in preparing people for difficult times is helping them understand that they should actually not just prepare for them and their family. They should get extra. Why? Well, our neighbors are going to be the people that we're going to be relying on. They're going to be the people that we have, whether we like it or not, whether they're good neighbors or not. That's who we're going to have. So, maybe have something for them. Some food, maybe? Water, or a way you can tell them, hey, check this out. There's no power. Your water's not working, but you know your water heater? Yeah. It's got a lot of water in it. There's a little spigot on the bottom there, and you can get that water out of there. That'll serve you for drinking water for a couple days. Yeah. Simple things like that. Because after 3 days, perhaps not in the literal sense, but in a figurative sense, a human being becomes a zombie. Think about it. If you're a mom or a dad, what would you not do to feed your children? Now, I'm not saying, please, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is for sure. This is how it's going to happen, ladies and gents. It's coming. We're all going to die. And no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we prepare for the worst, we can hope for the best. But most of our neighbors haven't a clue. They don't have a clue. They don't even have step 1 done. And then, unless they're like Mormons, where they have to have like a pantry. Your average Mormon is pretty much commanded to have a pantry of spare food for his family. But you know, what percentage of the country is a Mormon, right? So all that to say this. If you have prepared yourself and your family, look to prepping a little bit extra, maybe. A little bit more food. You know, dare I say, buy another gun? Right? I mean, if your neighbor is, you know, one of those people who hates guns, he'll love them once he realizes that people are coming for his family. He'll realize what we've realized all along. If he's trustworthy and he's willing to learn, you can teach him. Because as I said before, the neighbors are going to be the people that you have. Especially if you don't have a plan to move, if you don't have a plan to, go to a ranch or whatever, if you don't have money for a ranch, you're going to have to shelter in place. With who? Your neighbors. Doesn't have to be bad. They might not be prepared right now, but you can help them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You can do what you can do. And whatever out of your control, don't worry about it. We can't help it. We can't. We can pray. We can hope. And we can prepare. But we can't change the future. Can't change the past. We can only do something now. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. And I appreciate it. We're going to wrap the show up. I appreciate you checking out the Bitcoin Otter show this week. I don't know. I don't see any comments or anything, so maybe it's not working right. Usually I'm getting at least a few of us come on, and then we get a bunch of people that check out the show at their leisure, if you will, when it's not live, that's awesome too. But if you want to get a hold of me, the best way is email bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. You can call me at 737-393-3779. I think that's it. Not for sure. Look at the website though, and you'll get the for sure number. bitcoinotter.com. Okay? So what I'm getting at is contact me, please. I'm not your only source of information, but I do care. I do care. I want you and your family to be fine. I want you to be fine physically, spiritually, mentally, in all the ways that we can be secure. That's what we're here for. So, on a week when we focused on some good news, and we had to throw a little bit of regular news in there too. But, one thing real quick. Joe Biden did fall again. He's okay. Ladies and gents, he's okay. He's just not he's not the most steady resident you could have. Yeah. So anyway, you might think, well, Otter, what do you care? Why wish him well? Well, I wish him well for now, and hopefully he'll face justice someday. I don't think falling is part of that justice, but we'll see. We will see. I thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us this week, and hope to see you next week and during the week. Hit me up. Call me out. I'll be there for you. God bless you. Have a good day.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
On 97.7 FM, The City.